happy to hear it.
We're blessed. And your side, maybe you sent your rain this side, Miss Paula.
I did. It's not raining now,
Thank
but it's
you.
threatening.
That's nice. We need it more right here.
Before we get into the live, we have 2 seconds. I'll be jumping off. I got some other stuff I have got to do. I'm actually. I'm.
So we're live and I'm a guest. So I'm not going to talk because I'm waiting to be introduced. The mic is yours, our host.
Oh, no one can hear me. I'm sorry, I was on mute. How are we doing, everyone? Welcome back to the Happiness Tribe Sundays LinkedIn podcast with part 2 of AI literacy when reality bites. We're going to be talking to the younger generation today and also have a special talk with the actual Africa's theme queen, Miss Kim. We have some special guests also, which are part of the tribe that will be talking about their experiences in AI as well in their different fields with Dr. Gladys, Mr. Camp here. We have Selassie, who is also a guest today. Oh, this is so exciting. You can let Miss Julie up on stage. We'll do some housekeeping, but thank you all for listening on the replay or live. And we will get started as the audience loads in and our guests show up. So hello and welcome, everyone. How are we doing today, team?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
We're good, thank you.
Yeah, doing well. Looking forward to having this conversation. Yeah.
Excellent. So, in review of last week's conversation, would someone like to give a review of what happened last week since this is a part 2? Or what was the theme of last week? You remember anything from last week's conversation, which was part 1 of AI literacy when reality bites?
Yes, we do. This is Paula. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our new visitors who may be listening today or later on. This is part 2 of AI literacy when reality bites. Last week was a very, very interesting and stimulating conversation with those of us who were middle-aged, how we're handling the advent of AI, and some would argue the intrusion of AI in our lives, both on a personal and on a professional level. We talked about, how it's impacting employment, professional growth. There was mostly probe. There was also some indications that AI is creating a level of what we would call displacement in the professional environment. However, the conversation went into how AI can also assist an individual in positioning themselves successfully inside of their professional environment, whatever that may look like. In other words, AI is helping people to grow and expand in their professional view. And I think there's probably more to that, but I'll stop right there. Thank you all so much and welcome again.
Thank you for that brief review, Miss Paula. And so, as the audience loads in, we can go around and have the team members say hi and introduce themselves. Let your voice be heard from the Happiness Tribe. Who would like to be the brave soul to begin?
I can begin, Dr. Roz. I just introduced myself. I'll do it again. My name is Marjorie Paula Norales. I hail from the beautiful country of Belize in Central America. I'm a farmer and a strategist, and I am a member of the Happiness Tribe. Happy to be here. Love the types of conversations we have every Sunday, and I'd like to welcome everyone and thank them for spending this time with us.
Afternoon,
Thank you.
everyone. Oh, did I jump the
Go
gun?
for it.
Sorry, Dr. Ross. Okay.
No, you're
Af-
good. Go for it.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yodit Mulusi, and I'm sitting in Gaborone, Botswana, and very happy to say that we have lots of rain now. The heavens have opened, and very happy that we have rain. It's been very dry. I'm passionate about sustainable development, and so happy to be part of the Happiness Tribe and looking forward to this conversation and hoping that we will talk a little bit about how AI can help us with some of the environmental challenges that we have currently. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, Miss Yodet. So there we go, my fellow host. Thank you, thank you for your services, Mr. Camp. We really appreciate it. Miss Grace has graced us, our very, very, very busy Happiness Tribe member. How you doing, Miss Grace?
Good morning, Grand Rising to everybody, as Michael said. And hello to my Botswana free people and family. Their day has already started and they're halfway through. Um, my name is Tika Tesfai. I go by Grace. That's the meaning of my name. And I am a talent connector, recruiter, and career consultant, and a very proud member of the Happiness Tribe. And this topic today and last week's topic have been really amazing to talk about. I too am an enthusiast and very intrigued about the implications of AI in our everyday life, but also specifically in my industry of recruiting and talent acquisition. I look forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Grace. And now, um, I would have and like Dr. Gladys to actually introduce herself because we do have someone on stage here, but we're going to get to that gentleman because he is young and I know for a fact he's been dabbling in the AI space. So he's actually a guest, even though he is a very hardworking member of the Happiness Tribe. So Dr. Gladys, how are you doing?
I am doing well and welcome everyone. We're happy to have you here. I'm Dr. Gladys Bolding. I'm in academia and science. I also consider myself an AI enthusiast, because, I was just sharing something with individuals about how students are, listening to my lecture. They're in the restroom and they have technology where if they wear the headphones or the AirPods, they can listen to my lecture and not be present. I just said, wow, education is really evolving, and this is something that I'm working with. I'm really excited. I'm here for it. So I'm looking forward, to having this conversation. And, because you really have to be really flexible and adaptable, in this way. And when I see things like this, I'd like to be able to incorporate it if it's something that I feel is user friendly and that's not going to affect, academic, honesty or anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to, also learning about these things. So welcome everyone again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Gladys. And so I am Dr. Ross, that's RAS. I am really a scientist and I study traumatic brain injury, but in doing so, I have stumbled upon, like the rest of the world, AI technology, Gen AI, large language models, machine learning, and everything else. We've been learning all these acronyms in the last 3 years for myself, but for some people, it's been decades. But it's really hit the masses, and we're here. So this is what it means when we say reality bites, right? Because we're all on this and we're professionals. We're here as a working unit to bring some community and understand happiness in that journey. But within that, we have this AI technology that has infiltrated everything. So I thought it would be good because a conversation is what came about with yourself specifically, Dr. Gladys, and you explaining real life situations and scenarios is why we came up with this one too. And so the conversation last week had to do with individuals who are more experienced, right? Older individuals and having to deal with this reality. So just for a quick review, can you, in just general, talk about that situation that brought up this whole topic, Dr. Gladys?
Yeah. So actually, I have a few friends that are in positions today that are really in positions that are really obsolete. The job that they were working, because some of them actually lost their job because they didn't know AI. And I do want to say that when I talk to these individuals, and I speak to them pretty regularly, at least once a month or something like that. In the past, I would tell them that maybe they should start with a Microsoft Word a basic course because the job was paying for it, and just to get them familiar with just basic computers, and then you can work your way from there. And so it just so happened that both of these individuals lost their job because they didn't have the computer skills. And like they say, a person is not going to take your job. It's not artificial intelligence is not going to take your job. It's an individual that knows artificial intelligence that's going to take your job. And that's what I'm saying that's happening, not just with the individuals that I'm speaking of, but I'm hearing this from other individuals where they're having like one person who knows AI. 3 people used to do this job. Now they have eliminated 2 of those people. And now it's one person that's doing it because they have this skill set to handle a job that 3 people were doing. And this is rampant. It's even happening at, places like Home Depot. It just so happened I was, there shopping and, ordering something, and somebody was sharing with me, someone who I used to work with, as far as the manager, that they no longer are in that capacity because they have someone who's taken over 3 departments. So it's happening at the job where I am. It's happening in that environment, and then also I'm seeing it with these individuals who I call my friends. And and it's funny that we're mentioning this because one of those individuals that lost her job, I just was teaching her how to use Cash App just this morning. So I just want to say, so she actually got a training in how to use Cash App. So yeah, so this is real. And now, we used to hear that, okay, people are going to lose their job. Well, we're in the phase now where it's actually happening. People are losing their jobs due to AI. And not, like I said, because AI is taking over, but somebody who knows AI is taking over roles of several people. Because think about it. AI is more productive. It can do the job better than an individual. All you need is an individual that knows how to actually do AI, and you can eliminate those jobs. And what is business about? Business is about saving money. That's the bottom line.
Wow. Very, very powerful, very, very real. And that's why we're talking about AI literacy and reality bites. And just to speak to that point, Dr. Gladys, I definitely hope you have directed or you can direct that individual over to Miss Grace here because Miss Grace actually works in that space of being able to help individuals find employment and so definitely reach out to Miss Grace or have her do that. And in doing so, my other guest or other co-host here, Michael Camp, Mr. Camp with the Generational Learning Lab. What is that? What is the Generational Learning Lab and why is AI literacy important, sir? Thank you. Thank you for that, Michael. And I'll come back later because I want to know within this AI literacy, what is Wonderland and what is AR technology. But before I get there, I want to swing back around now because, guys, what we're doing here and we're talking about this AI literacy soon enough in short order, we'll have everyone that's in the audience that wants to come on stage. We want you to come on stage and actually talk about the story of the first time the realization that this AI thing is real in your world. And the younger the individuals, the better, but all come, please. But I want to skip to, in speaking of, Selassie, can you let us know who you are and what you do and why it was important for you to be here and actually be a guest to speak about AI literacy when reality bites?
Well, I'm Selassie from Ghana, and I'm an accountant by profession, but I've had experiences in government and private sector, and as well as working on multiple projects. I'm here as a guest speaker today to talk about AI. Specifically, I will talk about AI in governance, as well as AI in helping, uh, um, startups and businesses build sustainable businesses in Africa.
So, in government and sustainable business, focusing on Africa. Thank you, Selassie, for being here. And so, as we just went around, I actually, before we get to the head of the monster, and also a special guest, but Miss Kim there, I would like to ask Miss Yoda. You spoke up a little bit here, but can you tell us, as a Happiness Tribe member, have you had to deal with, or are you doing anything with AI that has entered your world, or have forced you in any way to have deal with that?
Hi, hello again, everyone. Thank you for that question, Dr. Ross. Yes, I have to deal with AI for a couple of reasons. One, as somebody who wants to continue working in my profession, and understanding and appreciating that AI is now there, it's here, and we have to embrace it. I'm learning how to navigate the different tools that are available to get information faster and to appreciate things better. So yes, I'm learning. Um, I think faster this year than I have before. I have had a lot more time to focus on looking at the different things, and I have special friends, many of whom are in this room today, who are helping me along with that. So yes, as a professional, it's important, but also as a mother, I think that is very important for me to understand, what access children have to AI tools and how it can impact them both negatively and positively. And I think that's where my concern is currently, is how do we allow. Whoops! I don't know if you could hear that thunder, but it's pretty loud. So how do we allow our children to utilize the different tools that are available for them, but still, maintain their ability to reason and to do work? In other words, understanding that AI makes everything very easy. How do we how do we inspire them to continue being curious, and wanting to? For me, I think also wanting to still pick up a book, a physical book, and read it, as opposed to getting everything on a gadget. So those are two important reasons why AI is important in my world. And curious to learn from the younger ones who are with us today on how they've managed to balance AI with, other things, physical books, as an example. Thank you, Dr. Russ.
No problem. No, thank you, Miss Yoda. I really appreciate it. And now, like I said, we really want to know, and because we talked to last week, really the individuals that's working, been in their jobs for quite some time, even decades, right? And how this was a reality. But the other side of that is we have the young folks who, a organization like the Happiness Tribe or a Destination Imagination Africa, who hire, work with, employ, and train the young folks. This is a reality for us as employers, right? As Miss Yoda just said, as mothers, as fathers, as the mentor individual. So Miss Kim, who are you and why is that important? Why is this an important topic?
Thank you, Dr. Ross, and hello everyone. Good to see you all. Hello, our listeners and our speakers on stage. Yes, this is a topic that is super close to my heart. I think I've always been a big fan of tech. Um, and for the sake of some little history before the mic is taken away from me, I'm one of those girls that didn't like, I grew up in a semi-village life. Yes, my parents were working, but it was still a farm life, sort of. And I didn't like farm work. So my escape was books or any way that we could automate and not do manual work. And I think I've gone through life with that bothering me to an extent. I long started this issue. I started my tech journey with introduction of recording educational tapes. Who has gray hair here like me? Because some people may not get it when I talk about VHS. I don't even know what the meaning of VHS. It's video what? What is VHS? But I'm sure some of you have encountered VHS. And then we had those cassettes that used to run with sort of a rail, something like that. Gen Zs may not know what I'm talking about, but that's what we did. We had our biggest broadcasting house in Southern Africa, which is SABC, which used to record teachers. So we used to get those VHS videos and supply schools and supply TVs. So you supply a television and then you supply the video, the deck for them to play and teach children. And of course, from there, we advanced to CDs. And then we advanced to softwares, we advanced to apps. Look at how fast the world has moved. I'm talking of that's in a span of less than 3 decades that we've moved that quickly to an extent. I think the Gen Zs might know, but the alphas may not know what I'm talking about when I talk about CDs, CD-ROMs. I don't think they're even producing laptops with a floppy disk space anymore. But that's how we've quickly advanced, and it's quite exciting when you see the power of automation. And having worked extensively with marginalized communities and within Sub-Saharan Africa, these are challenges I encounter every day. And the challenges we encounter force us to be on our feet and constantly become problem solvers and want to be part of the solution. So I've seen amazing things come out of AI in education, or let me say technology and automation. We're able to reach many more children. We're able to create jobs and encourage youth and show them use cases of AI. So there are so many things that I've been able to leverage on by using technology, and I am super grateful. Of course, we're looking at especially bridging the gap, which is also a concern. How do we make sure the digital divide does not get wider and wider, and we're able to reach out to many more and ensure there's economic inclusion within our continent? Thank you. I hope that answers you. That's the work that I do.
Thank you. I know Dr. Gladys. Please have at the individuals on the stage here. But Miss Kim, let me ask you first. You spoke from such a motherly perspective, but what I want to know is from an employer and a mentor's perspective. Now, what are you looking for? You're training and hiring individuals in the educational space, right? In that STEM space. So you have to rely on these individuals in a professional space. So this is what I would like to know from you as an individual that, run multiple organizations that have to not only cater to, but also hire, employ, and mentor these individuals. What does AI literacy, what do you look for? What's important with dealing with these individuals in this space?
I love that question because our most critical job we have to do as employers, we need to be ethical and emphasize on the use of AI in an ethical manners. And we also have to first create awareness and educate. And that education has to start within our spheres, within our jobs, within our staff. So I work with quite a number of youth across the continent, and I have seen the fear within from as young as 17-year-olds, which that's the age of some of our staff, to 40-year-olds. And it doesn't matter what education they come with, but you get to see, you really have to bust the myth of this fear of just getting deep, it's first this assumption that this is for super smart, this is going to take our jobs, and I don't need to learn this. So we start with that AI literacy, ensuring that they can recognize and understand what is artificial intelligence. How can they use it for their everyday life? How can they ensure they have a voice and make sure they can exploit it? Then we show them use cases where we ensure that just within organization we're using AI. It's an everyday thing. So when you show people that if they rely on it, they will automate repetitive tasks. It will help them on decision making. It will give them extra skills, which I'm always critical of. If you join my organization, I give you 3 years. If in 3 years you've not been promoted to be a director, manager, something senior, then you need to move on. You're not fitting in, or this just disconnect. So are you moving on with a skill? I need to see you move on to a better position. I need to see you growing. So this is crucial on ensuring they can understand that this can help them with decision-making process, the use of technology, advancing their productivity, where we use a lot of tools. And I cannot emphasize more on critical thinking that AI enhances. So it will foster that and much more help them on ethical issues. So once they get educated, they're able to sort of deal with the bias and get to know these privacy concerns, these transparency, how the algorithm works, the implications that we all know that come with AI. We also make sure that they pose as advocates. So we build public accountability and awareness. So them as technology professionals, we get a lot of people that join us, they're very green. And the first thing they do, the whole of the first month, you're going through training, and you're getting trained as you work, which it's real time. You trained in the morning, you go do some activities in the afternoon. So that reinforces the skill that you need to have. Then we educate them on this, how, let's say like our sales team, how does this affect the job market? And how can it help you, especially with digital skills? What is the impact of AI within our society? And can you stand up as an advocate? Can you be accountable on development of AI? Then, of course, we show them the different skills and job opportunities. Can this prepare them for future workforce? Can it foster them to get any other skills? Can they be more entrepreneurial? Can they be more innovative, more creative? Can they see themselves as brand ambassadors and see beyond AI? I mean, see beyond destination imagination of the organization they're working with. So I have that emphasis of ensuring that each person that works with us knows they are brand ambassadors, and first themselves, you're a brand. Before you talk about DI, you're a brand. How do you brand yourself? How do you want the world to see you? What skills do you need to ensure that you can prepare yourself for a future that we don't know? I have so much pride on any staff that leaves us for, I don't allow, you're not going to leave my organization and just go get stuck in the village. No, I'll get to the village and get you back. I need to see you've advanced. Are you doing something better? Are you solving problems elsewhere? Have you created your own company, or have you joined stronger organizations? So what skills have you left my organization with? And I think that's something that we employers need to preach loudly to our youth, because that's one of the ways that we can break the cycle of poverty. Thank you.
Wow, very, very, very powerful and very on point, because before you get out on your own and have to be able to, or want to be able to, create your own space. You have to learn from individuals that's done it, right? So I'm glad you talked about in that entrepreneurial space and what it takes, mindset wise, and understanding your approach. This is all about demystifying something that might be scary just because it's unknown to you, right? But if just imagine you have a box of crayons, which are 100 box crayons with all these colors you've never seen before, right? It might look a little intimidating because you're just used to the 8 box of crayons. But if you just take your time and don't be overwhelmed and just start with a crayon, you'll get through all 300 of those crayons and have an appreciation for a majority of them. And so this is the same thing in the same way I look at it as AI. So with that, I want to skip into the education. And so, Dr. Gladys, you're not only a host, but you're a guest as well, right? Because you have to educate the youth, and specifically at that higher competency level. Can you speak to that and the importance of AI for dealing with students, for looking to students to train? You can speak about the even laboratory or STEM space as well, but even in that entrepreneurial space, you have to hire in that fashion world that you're in and deal with younger individuals, right? As well. How does this AI literacy play a role?
Well, let me just say, especially when it comes to academia, the college is still evolving. I have to say that they are not there yet. They're still trying to figure it out. That's my phrase for this era, figure it out. And so whether we are, trying to figure it out or how slow we're evolving, it's there. And we have to deal with that. I do want to mention that I had invited a student. Well, I actually invited the class to attend last week's session. And if they wrote a summary, they could get bonus points, okay, towards their grade. Well, I had a few that actually came into the room, but what happened was I had a student that claimed that she came into the room and she sent me a summary, and I could tell that she used Chat GPT. So she did not get credit. You see, so a lot of people, when you're using Chat GPT, you have to, it's just a framework. You have to make it your own. So I could tell that what she submitted to me was verbatim what she, copy and pasted from Chat GPT. I even asked her, I said, first of all, were you in the room? I said, and second of all, if you were, I said, what name were you under? Because I saw, who was in the room. And then I asked her, did she actually write this herself? And I never got a response. So silence is an answer. So these are some of the things that we are going to be navigating in academia, because you are going to have that academic dishonesty, but you have to be able to spot it. And I was able to spot it in that case, and she never did respond. So that tells me that I was accurate in what I saw, so that's one of the things that we're going to have to deal with. But, I also encourage my students
Dr. Gladys, before you go on, so what you're saying, and I got from that is, whether you are a AI enthusiast or not, whether you're jumping over the moon like a lot of us are about it, you still have to be knowledgeable enough to recognize its presence.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. The thing is, I actually use it. And let me just tell you, I encourage my students to use it, but responsibly. So I tell them, you use it as a framework. Just like when I use it, if someone needs a reference for recommendation from me, I use Chat GPT. I may say I have a student in anatomy and physiology. I need to write a recommendation. It will give me a framework, but I still have to tell why that student is being recommended. I have to go back and look at their grades. I have to put in, where they were in the class as far as their tier, a top tier student. I have to tell what they did. They collaborated with others. They were a leader in, providing, information to their peers. So you can't take Chat GPT verbatim and submit that as if it were your own. it just provides that framework. So I do tell my students, because we have to deal with it. It is here. So I tell them, yeah, I do want you to use Chat GPT. However, I want you to make it your own. I even gave an assignment to students who are going into education. And I said, I want you to create a lesson plan, and I want you to use Chat GPT, but I want you to make it your own. There were some who copied it verbatim, and I explained to them that is plagiarism. You see, so we have to teach. It's okay to use it. This is what I tell my students, but we got to use it responsibly, and you have to make it your own. So that's why I said that's a whole, situation there, just in that particular area. So we're still trying to figure out in that environment, the college environment, how do we deal with that? So that's how I deal with it as an individual. I'm just saying that's how I deal with it in my sector.
If I can add to that from the recruiting perspective as well, similar to what you were talking about, Dr. Gladys, in recruiting, I find often also that resumes are, so AI allows you now to just select each word that is applicable to a job description and try to fill it in within your resume. So often what it looks like is, if you look at enough resumes, you found a lot of those looking almost cloned, the same. So the personality and the actual uniqueness of that individual does not come through in those resume that is fully and only written by a resume as well, when it comes down to the documentation and how they use the AI, and you talking about the ethics and the implication of these things. I think that type of that resonated with me as well from that perspective.
Thank you, Miss Grace, and welcome to the stage, Sherry, and welcome, Sharon. Let me just take some time here to actually acknowledge the guests and our listeners, whether our live listeners. I'm actually Puling. Thank you for stopping in. ZZ, how are you? Sharito, hi, thank you. A favorite. Lisa, how are you doing? Hello, Dr. Raymond, thank you. Babacar, hey, Julie, I know you got some things to teach us here about AI and its importance in social work. So feel free to raise your hand and get up here. Hello, Terrence. Thank you for stopping in. Zomzi. Hello, Brandon. And Dr. Ayo, please, I need you to come up and speak how these kids and what grade level you're teaching at, how and why AI literacy is important. And when did you realize as an educator, right, that you had to get in the game? Hello, Michael. And yes, we have our guest, Mackenzie. If you can raise your hand as well to come up on stage, and every and anyone down there, please raise your hand. It's time to hear, when did the AI literacy, when did that reality bite for you? Specifically, if you remember the time, that's what I want to capture here. Please. So how you doing, Sherry? Welcome. We'll start with Sharon, and then we'll go to Sherry.
Thank you so much for having me and putting this together. Wow, I am very fascinated by two things. I guess one overarching is the ethics in AI, and then kind of circling back to Dr. Gladys's comment about in education, how it's being used. I kind of look at it like, I have Encyclopedia Britannica in my phone. Yay me, right? I was the nerd on the bus back in the day. Like, oh my God, H is coming today. I'm going to read the whole thing, And so I'm wondering if I've never seen Chat GPT, as much as I've played with it, cite its sources, which I don't like. How do I know? Like, because garbage in, garbage out. I've been in technology 25 years. So the data is only good as what the input is or the reference point is. So that's kind of my first point. And then, like, second of all, the ethics. I was listening to Neville Goddard, one of his works, an author from the 1940s, as I was falling asleep the other night. And then I was like shook awoke because I heard GPS and podcast. I'm like, really? In the 1940s, we had that. So basically, the AI referenced all the words, and then a human went in and added things that didn't even belong, therefore kind of invalidating the whole body of work. And I'm all about, creative rights and freedom of speech and everything like that, but I'm also about protecting the art and the thought leaders and the creative beings that put work out there all by themselves or with the divine, but not a machine helping them. So that's where reality bit to me, because now I don't have any confidence that anything my kids are learning is actual truth, because anybody could just go in and take like Shakespeare's work, I don't know, Einstein's work, Confucius, Buddha. I see people quoting ascended masters on LinkedIn all the time like it was their words. I get very upset by that. So that's my reality biting. That's all. Thank you.
I love that. I love that share. Thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing that one, because that's an interesting take, and we definitely have some creatives on the team and in the tribe, and so thank you for that. Sherry, how are you doing, and where are you hailing from?
Aloha, Dr. Ross. Thank you very much for having me here, and hosts Miss Kim, Grace, Selassie, and Dr. Gladys. Oh my goodness, what you shared with me is a drop the mic. So my background is I have been a teacher, elementary teacher for 20 years. My background is uh, I have a master's in science, and I originally taught middle and high school in Seattle, in the inner cities of Seattle. And my thoughts, Miss Gladys, Dr. Gladys, pardon me, were when during the pandemic, when school was virtual, one of the hardest things that we encountered for kindergartners in particular, I'm a kindergarten teacher, is that human touch. We as kindergarten teachers, we are on the ground in front of the student at eye level, listening and learning from them. And one of the things, especially that's important, is this. So English is my third language. I'm from the Philippines, and I'm Native Hawaiian, and that was the biggest struggle, getting the attention of the child. And so one of the very important things that my school district implemented is masks that were clear, so that teachers could, when they were like, for example, I would do sign language, that we would somehow, with the body language and everything, I'm sorry, I'm going off in a tangent, that the children would learn. And that is really the key thing that I wanted to bring up, is just that human element of it's possible in a fraction of doing that virtually, but my biggest fear, honestly, with AI was replacing that human touch, because uh, um, when you are in the room with the child, especially if a child is differently abled. Something post-pandemic that I love that's happening in Seattle Public Schools is that I have a co-teacher that's a special education teacher, and so we are incorporating and including the children with disabilities so that we're not separating them, and we're not and so um, I I'm very intrigued by AI, and I I just I know that there is a balance. So thank you.
Sherry, hold on, Michael. One second. Sherry, let me just say, you hit the nail on the head. Don't think you went off on a tangent. You hit the nail on the head. Go ahead, Mr. Camp. That is 100%, and I know someone is going to speak to that professionally. How you doing, Dr. Ayo? And thank you for coming to the stage, Julie. Hey, Dr. Ayo, what's up?
Oh, yeah, thank you so much. This is a really wonderful program. I just want to commend all of you for hosting it. I love the topic, and the conversation is really rich and very insightful and very informative, especially for those that that are working in this space, and for those that needs to uh, take advantage of, of this new innovation. This is really, really wonderful. This is really great. One thing that for me, I transition into AI. I'm an educator. I'm a STEM educator. So it's really important for me to know what is really happening and how I can leverage that and how I can, advise and encourage my students as they are looking into the future, what innovation they need to be versed on. And so one of the things that I did, you asked a question, when did I start using it? Well, one of the things that I started doing in the beginning was to tutor. I tutor one-on-one. But once COVID hit, I transitioned into online tutoring. So that was then I discovered that, wow, there is actually a space for online tutoring. I don't really have to meet people one-on-one because of COVID. I haven't contracted COVID in the initial stage of the pandemic, and I didn't want to go through that experience again. Then AI came along, but AI has been around, but publicly, it became vast and accessible to so many people. So and then I realized that wow, here is an opportunity. Then what happened was at the beginning when AI started, I joined. Actually, there is an app online on your cell phone that you can use, to buy share of AI. When it started in the beginning, the share they were selling it really, really cheap. So I decided to buy a couple of share, uh, and I can't remember, how much it was, but now I can tell you I have invested. I started really, really low, like maybe about $50, I will say. But now my share of the AI has actually gone, it's actually worth about 700 and something. So as you can see, this AI thing is becoming out of reach. To buy a share or to own a share, it's becoming out of reach. So here is a point that I want to make. If you have some money, I know it's risky. Don't take my word for it. I can just share my own experience that I started with $50, I think about $50, but now the share, whatever that I have there, it's worth 700 and something. But unfortunately, I don't have a lot of money to be investing in that. But this is something that I have learned. And I've also discovered how I can utilize AI for all of my writing. For example, does anybody know on LinkedIn, every time you write, one of the things that I'm not a great writer, that is not my skill set, but I'm happy that I have Grammarly. Grammarly helps me quite a lot. On LinkedIn, when you write, there is also LinkedIn. I don't know how they have integrated. It can actually help you package your writing in a way that is, presentable to professional. Because LinkedIn, there are a lot of professional. You don't want to ramble. Yeah, you have to package your writing because you're communicating in a way that is presentable, that is logical. But the most important thing that I also do is, just like the Dr. Gladys have said, you have to humanize it. You have to interact with whatever LinkedIn, however it organized, your writing. It is important. I cannot stress that enough. You have to interact with your writing. Always start with the initial idea. Write something down. What are your thoughts? Write them down. And one thing that I will say that I'm happy with ChatGPT now has made it possible whereby you can actually do research. So you can look for articles on chat using ChatGPT, right? But it is important that you look at the information that ChatGPT is providing for you. You don't have to use only Google's call. I mean, it used to be Google is the one that has cornered the market, but ChatGPT now has the ability of doing that. So take advantage of this, and it will get better. And that is the reason why it's important for you to interact with whatever content that you are creating. If you're a content writer like I am, I interact a lot. I also use Google. I double check for evidence to make sure that ChatGPT is not giving me garbage. It's very, very important. I want to stress that. I can't stress that enough. So now I utilize that. But the other point that I would like to make is it is important to know that ChatGPT is not the only AI that is out there. There are so many AIs that is out there. Sometimes it can be so overwhelming. So as an educator, I've learned a lot. I've learned a long time ago. We as educators, we are inundated with a lot of technology, but it is important for you to choose few AI that are that actually will leverage your skill sets. Don't just be going after all this AI because it will overwhelm you. You will be so confused. Choose few that will leverage your skill sets and focus on that, master that, and use it. If you're an entrepreneur, then use it in a way that it can help your bottom line. And the last point that I would like to make, would like to encourage all of you. I am an educator in this team. I'm also a consultant. So if your child or you are interested in STEAM or STEM, education and career, you can always talk with me. But one thing that I always write about, this is very important to me. is to advise parents and teachers on the importance. It's not good enough for us to just teach them, the discipline, but it is important to prepare them for the career jobs that they will do. It is important for the children, for the parents to do research. So since we are, research the job, job projection. So since we are in an AI era, right, I really think that this is the sixth innovation when it comes to technology and innovation. I truly want to emphasize this point. This, I cannot stress it enough. It is important for parents and for teachers and for students. And if you're looking for career, it is extremely important that you research the type of job that AI, because things are being automated, things are being transferred to AI to do. Find the type of jobs that will not compromise your job. For example, at this point, I know that AI, when it comes to critical, emotional thinking, anything that deals with critical thinking, I'll say that focus on that. Any type of job that deals with critical thinking, I will really emphasize focus on that. It is easy. So the type of job that AI cannot replicate. That's the point that I'm saying. So critical thinking, problem solving, creative, something innovative. The application of two different platforms, right? For example, we've seen that with Elon Musk now, in terms of taxi transportation, combining automotive and AI, right? Those are the kind of things that you want to focus on. Being the brain behind, we need AI, people, ethical specialists, people that are going to be looking at the ethical use of AI. Those are the kind of job. Healthcare, I would like to focus. Anything that deals with human and social science, I would like to encourage you to focus on things like that. This is the little thing that I wanted to, my little nugget that I wanted to share with you. I think I'm sharing so much of my my secret sauce, but it's okay. We're family. Thank you so much for giving me the platform. I'll go back to the guest lounge.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayo. Really appreciate it, and thanks the audience here for sticking in. We have a couple more. Angelica, how are you doing? And hello, peace. How you ladies doing? And how can you tell us AI literacy and when reality bites? So for you, when did it bite that this AI, you needed some literacy yourself or for someone around you that this was a real thing? Go for it. We'll start with Angelica and then we'll go with Peace.
Well, as soon as AI came into the picture, I knew that I had to adapt because things change, right? And sometimes if we don't learn it, we might be left behind. For example, computers. Everybody started using computers at work, and those that didn't want to use them, well, they were behind. I just wanted to mention a little bit about Sherry because she talked about having that special touch as a teacher. I was just at a global neurodiversity conference in La Jolla, and it was for autistic families and autistic teachers, and so there were panelists there, and one of the panelists was one of our Head Start teachers, and talking about the human touch, this and what Dr. Ayo mentioned that is important. One of the teachers was talking about their child, that one of the children in the room that had autism. But this child, the only thing that they would eat was bananas. And so it was affecting their nutrition. Their nutrition was level was going bad, and the mom let the teacher know that. So what happened, the teacher did, she would play with the child, and she played with the dinosaurs, and the child loved the dinosaurs. And she started telling the child, dinosaurs, they like to get really strong. And the way that they get strong is by eating vegetables. They eat fruits, but they eat vegetables too. And so this child all of a sudden started eating vegetables in the classroom for lunch, right? And so it took that relationship that she built by playing with the child to have the child uh, start eating vegetables. And so the teacher took some video of the child and sent it to the parent, the mom. And the parent one day goes, "How did you do it? How did you do it?" She says, "I've been trying to get him to eat vegetables for 2 years." And so she explained how she did it. So it's those things like the human touch is very important when it comes to teaching. But another thing about AI that is important, another panelist that has autism, he had the type of autism that he doesn't speak, but he uses a program through the computer where it talks for him. So he types in what his thought is, and he's the way he expresses himself is brilliant. And he's humorous. He's a college student, um, very articulate, but he just doesn't speak. But he used AI to convey his thoughts. So those are some of the wonderful ways that AI is being used. And uh, I think there's a balance, right? There's some people that need the human touch, and some people that need that AI in order to be able to communicate. So I just wanted to share that. And thank you so much for letting me come up and share. Back over to you.
Thank you. And we've missed you. Very
Oh, there
nice to
you
hear
are.
from
Hi.
you. My Swahili speaking sister.
Jambotana.
Oh, you're doing good. So at least you have increased your vocabularies. How awesome is that? The mic will be all yours to sing for us as we close the room, the Swahili song. And I love your feedback. It's interesting when we look into the use cases for AI. I have a very unique one that I actually started recently, where I struggle with designing. And sometimes, when you want something, okay, I have a lot of AI tools that I use to help me with my design work. Some are just world class. They've made me, especially proposals. I do very good proposals, which it's from designing to creating the content. But there's one I started using recently where I would put a flyer on my AI app, actually just on my phone. Come on. Oh, I'm sorry. It's internet. I thought I've been switched off. So so I'll use it. I'll take a flyer. I'll put it on my phone app, and I'll ask. I mean, it's all prompt engineering. Can you tell me? Can you criticize this flyer? Pretend to be world class graphic designer, and tell me from branding perspective, what do you think about this flyer? It is something presentable to take to my world class clients and get to see sophistication, class, glam. You put all that in your prompt, and the AI does a fantastic job where you be told, can you align like this and that? Can you check on that color scheme? Can you do this and that? Can you stop you overusing these words? My goodness, it is so super awesome. Yes, of course, like Sharon said, there's that concern that we get on what's going to happen to our creative industry. But guess what? From my perspective, I feel AI has made me more creative, a better human being, my reasoning as well. And I also feel like on this side of, I think it was you, Sharon, who was talking about we don't even know what's true and what's fake. If you're using, I don't know about the other ChatGPT, but if you're using the 4.0, it tells you, it shares links, like to show the authenticity of where that content is coming from. So all you need to do to see if these are facts, open the link, because I mean we all know organizations that are credible, that we feel like on your research, we rely on established research publications. You'll see if this is a reputable university, or this is a technology company, or this is a research company that I can trust and count on. So on that, if you check, like sometimes I actually brainstorm with AI. So for me to get opinions, I look at like even legal documents, I post them there, and then I say, can you customize this according to Botswana law, and is this making sense? Then I will obviously check on who is the legal analyst that AI is using, because I mean the links are there. So if it's something that is just on the socials, you'll see, is this a credible blogger where this perspective is coming from? So if we can try to use this still regulatory framework that's still coming up, you've seen a lot of companies now coming up with their IPs to protect their work and stuff like that. So yes, we still need to emphasize on ethics in using AI. But I feel the genie is out of the bottle, and we can't afford to stay put and just sit pretty scared that this thing, I mean, it's reality. You've heard Dr. Gladys say it several times, have friends who have lost jobs. We're not talking about what we see in the papers. We're talking about people we know. So as we deal with that replacement, it's the challenge is within us to learn and unlearn, and as quickly as we can. Over to you, Dr. Ras. I see we still have some guests. I had seen Dr. Very on, I think she stepped down. I'm not sure if it's Lisa or Peace or Sherry. I don't know who is next, Dr. Ras. The mic is yours. And another big hello to our listeners.
Thank you, Ms. Kim, for sharing that and always reminding us as well, and appreciating our listeners. Yes, I think Peace was next, and then Lisa. Go for it, ladies. How has AI literacy impacted you, and when did that reality bite for you? Peace, are you there? Can you hear? If not, if she's having audio trouble, we can start with Lisa. Lisa, is your mic audible?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good morning, good evening, everybody. This is a really interesting conversation. I just had to come up and give my 2 cents. So I love what Ms. Kim was just talking about, the different ways to really embrace and appreciate what AI can do for you. When she talked about using it to critique her work, you know, I thought that was just so brilliant, because you can actually get ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using to write you something and then critique its own work. And in that critique, it picked up the errors that it made initially. So I just think that was so fascinating. And when Angelica spoke about using AI for differently abled persons, that's the power of AI. And this is why we need to do that learning curve as quickly as we can and see how AI can fit into our business, into our personal lives, into how we support others, because it's not going anywhere. And it doesn't make sense to say, well, AI is going to take jobs, or AI is going to make me stop thinking for myself or stop being critical. No, it's how you use AI, and let's learn the correct way to do it. And that's why I heard Dr. Gladys speak and how she talks to her students. And I thought that was just so powerful, because I remember, I think last year, a student got expelled for using Grammarly on her thesis. And I thought, how close-minded can you be? That means you don't even understand the different types of AI that's available and how it could be used to just expel a student for using Grammarly. And that's like the lecturers, the old lecturers being afraid of computers. You know, we need to get with the times, because if we're calling ourselves educators, we are educating the next generation for the world they are going to live in, not the world we came from. So we need to embrace AI. We need to teach them the right way to use AI so that we don't end up with a Skynet Terminator situation, right? We need to empower them, but teach them the right way to use it. I just wanted to add my 2 cents to what Ms. Kim said about verification, and just to be careful about when you ask AI to verify certain things. I had a case where I was doing my thesis and I asked it to verify the sources, and ChatGPT, and I believe Gemini did it as well. They literally created papers, created fictitious authors, created fictitious journals. So you have to be careful of when you're asking to verify sources and give you the sources of where it's pulling from to actually verify the verification. Actually take the information and then, put it in Google and find it for yourself. Because if you're just relying on the chat GPTs to verify that information that you're giving out, it can, and I'm not sure if Dr. Gladys noticed this, it seems as if AI is becoming a little, as if it's dumbing down what it's producing, maybe to force you to buy the paid version, I don't know. But you really need to be careful of what AI tool you're using and then what verification you're asking it to do. Because, like I said, it literally created papers for me that didn't exist. Thankfully, now we have research programs for colleges and universities like Illicit AI that pulls real papers. But again, we need to educate, especially the students, which AI tools to use and for what. That's my 2 cents. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for that. So I got so much to say off of that. First of all, you said so much, but just from the accent alone, you could have just kept talking. So anyway, let me get back to being serious here. Yes, what you said about AI is so important, right? That even the children, right? It's across different generations, but you have to understand how to use it. It's like teaching someone to ride a bike and then giving them the keys to the car. Right? That's what I think about it. So you have to actually learn what the tools are and how to use them before you actually get to then use the vehicle, right? So AI is important. Here's the thing. I have so many thoughts going through my head about when the reality for me bit, because when I think about it and I go back, I realize I'm going to have to do a small book because it's not when I thought it was. Because for some of us, we actually was working on or in that space being impacted by before it hit the general mass and the general public. So it's a really cool story. But when we talk about AI, what I'd like to challenge everyone in the audience that's listening or listening on the pre-call, as we hear from the youth coming up now, I want you to, after this show, I want you to go on your computer and you use the computer. Then I want you to go on and on that computer, find something that's specifically AI and interact with it. And then the third thing I want you to do is find something that's Gen AI, generative AI, and interact with that. And do that twice. And then just think about that difference of those three things. Just do a regular, use the computer as you normally would. Use something that is specifically a AI software, right? An application, something that you can use on these physical devices that is AI, and see the capabilities of it and the usability of it. When you think about interface and using a computer, you're going from keyboard to now understanding speech and text, from text to speech and voice to text, and all of these things. It's making the computer, right, which houses all of our information and human knowledge, it's making the interaction easier and more relatable for more people as we understand what it is. So if you do that and you do the same thing with Gen AI and you get a taste of what that is, and then Web3 is the other thing I want you to look into, because you go on the internet and you're just on the internet as you know it. And it's actually, that's the second version, really the third version, but the second version of what the internet is, right? But this Web3 now, and Web3, 4, 5, and what does that mean? You can just start off by just looking up what Web3 is, and you can actually use AI, ask AI these three things, right? What is AI? What is Gen AI? What is Web3? And then from there, you just go down a rabbit hole of asking yourself questions and using the access to the information to learn. And before you know it, AI will be a friend of you, and you'll find ways that it can enhance your life and the lives with people around you. So with that, I'd like to hear from Peace and Brandon, some young individuals, that how has this impacted you? Because a lot of us, we were functioning in a world before AI, but you guys are functioning in a world where the AI is the core of what you're going into, but technology itself and digital technology has been the core of your upbringing. So can you guys speak to how the shift in technology from just the regular computer, the internet, World Wide Web, to Web3, how has that impacted you personally and professionally? Go ahead, Peace, and then Brandon. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Peace.
Okay. So, as a virtual assistant, AI has really helped me in several ways. Carrying out online research using ChatGPT and other large language models has really been something I can't really tell, but it has made my job easy. And currently, I'm using ChatGPT and Google to generate leads to build email lists for my clients. How do I do this? I go to Google, search for what I want to search, then paste in ChatGPT. ChatGPT generates it for me into a CSV. So this way, I'm able to build email lists for my clients. And I've also used AI to generate images and videos that has helped my work. So AI is very important. And as a virtual assistant, I'll keep learning to be able to stay on my job. Thank you.
I just want to say something real quick. Pete, thank you for that. And one thing I really love that you said is that you will keep learning, because that is what is going to allow you to continue to be successful. Good job.
Thank you.
Dr. Ross?
Sorry, I lost internet. I'm back. But yes, I think Brandon can go. Thank you, Peace, so much. I'm having a little internet issue, so Brandon, you can go, and then I'll pick back up.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Roz. Good to see some familiar faces. Miss Kim, Gladys, Grace. I think I saw Celestia in here earlier. Sorry for missing anybody. Yeah, good to be back in the space again and loving the conversation. My name is Brandon K. Richard. I'm a marketing guy. I'm really focused on data and psychology and integrating that into my work, and increasingly AI. And so I guess a few things that I kind of wanted to share just from my experience so far, and it's sort of come up in some of what other people have mentioned as well. But one thing I would say is, in terms of AI, there is certainly a lot of opportunities there. And I think we've done a really good job kind of speaking and talking to that in this discussion. And I think a part of it, and like something to keep in mind, is that AI isn't actually a replacement for expertise. It's a tool to help you kind of further your expertise and find a way to package that up and deliver it. And I think a lot of people run into trouble trying to get into areas that they might not necessarily have a lot of understanding of, and trying to use AI to sort of supplement that. And in some ways, if it's, as Gladys just said, sort of a learning experience, that's perfect. That's a great way to go about it. But in other ways, it can definitely run into trouble with it. I believe Grace mentioned earlier with recruiting and people who are submitting, resumes or writing, and it's clearly AI generated. And if you don't know enough to know that somebody else can spot that, and somebody can see that from a mile away that this isn't something that you've written, that's not great. So just being aware that that can expose you in some ways that you might not be desirable. And so sometimes the expertise is around knowing when not to use AI, as well as when knowing when to use AI. So just something to keep in mind there, that really it's a way to advance on your expertise and expand on your expertise. But if it's trying to replace expertise, that is where a lot of people run into trouble in using these tools and might not be getting the results that they're looking for. And then a second point is, in terms of AI, and again, others have brought this up, don't focus on necessarily a specific tool. I know ChatGPT is super popular. That's where I started as well. It's kind of just the most ubiquitous in the space and the most well-known. But there are a lot of tools out there, and yes, that can be overwhelming, but start to think of AI not as a tool, but as a system. You need to build out your ecosystem of these different tools that are really specialized for different things, again, as others have mentioned. One might be better for copywriting or a certain type of copywriting, and you can focus on that bit for copywriting. One is better at design. One might be better at research and citing sources. And so just making sure you're using the right tool and building an ecosystem of these tools, rather than using one as a one size fits all. And so back to expertise, think of a process that you know well, like something that you've done every day over and over for years now, and then start to break that down into individual steps, and then start to assign those steps to a different AI. So some, again, might be better at certain steps in that process. An example on my end is with doing design and marketing and creative work, some of the AI are better at writing, right? And so I might use those to generate some ideas and then generate a general prompt, and then take that prompt and put it into one that's better at image generation and use that from there. And then one that's better at analyzing images, kind of as Ms. Kim was saying earlier, with looking at your branding and kind of checking things there. You might take that image and plug it into another tool and kind of verify it. And so it becomes a sort of 3-step process, one that's doing the writing and the prompting, one that's generating the image, and then one that's verifying that that's a part of your brand. And so again, that can sound kind of overwhelming at first, but really just breaking down something you know well into simple steps, and then start with the basics. And from the first step to say, okay, I'm going to look into this thing specifically, and okay, it looks like this AI tool is the best for that, and then plug that into your ecosystem and really start to build out your team, and think of these things as working together and the synergy between them. Thank you.
Brandon, you're 1000% correct, right? And I love what you said. First of all, let me say, as a brain scientist, I want to say, words and what you hear goes right to your brain. And you said something there, and thinking of this and all the teaching of everything with AI, you said AI, think of it as a system, not a tool, but a system. My brother, I'm going to take that forward as I talk to myself, as I talk to my colleagues, as I talk to my youth, because you're talking about workflow, right? And if you people that's in the game and working, yes, you understand workflow to the point where individuals are now selling this, right? Companies are actually basically selling workflows, right? But what you said is that it's what the level I'm at is changing the mind and the concept of your thought of how you think about it before you engage. So, it's a common practice to say that AI is a tool, AI is a tool. And I'm going to make it my mission now to actually, just if you said that and it clicked so much that no, it's not a tool, it's a system. And yes, you're building out your team, and something like that is really awesome for like myself, like a, researcher or scientist who, yes, you rely on students and you want to develop the students and have that engagement. And just like the kids need it, well, the adults need that contact and engagement as well for growth, right? For personal growth. You have IQ, SQ, EQ, social intelligence, emotional intelligence. We all need that no matter what age, believe it or not. But being able to use that technology to where now, if you want to display an image, where I got into the sciences and stuff because of the art of nature, like the art of the brain, how artistic and symmetrical everything is. That's what drew me in, right? Besides of the mind. But being able to now translate some of these thoughts and ideas and using that technology where you don't have to pay someone thousands and thousands of dollars to get very close to what you are even thinking, to then use that idea into what you can do professionally. It's amazing to me. So yes, thank you for that. And Ms. Kim, would you like to have a word?
Yes, and I think we should have a separate session where we invite Brandon, specifically focusing on digital marketing and branding, because he is a genius in that space. And of course, I'm itching to say hello. I've just seen, there's the Africa STEM Queen, then there's the real Africa STEM Queen. I see her in the listening lodge. No, for a big shout out, and so good to see you. If you want to talk about anything space exploration, that's our genius teacher in Botswana. And hey, Chiesa, how awesome to see you. Alexander, Lance, Sherry, you were up, you went down, Sharon as well. My Swahili speaking sister, Angelica, Terence, our Yodit, Clement, Emmanuel, David, Zara, it's been so long. Where have you been hiding? Rebecca and our very own Zomzi. A big shout out. It's a lovely Sunday. Very nice weather here in Botswana. I see we're almost getting to the end of our session. I really want to urge you, let's do what we do. Connect. If there's anybody in this listening lounge or speakers lounge and you don't know that person, this is your chance to click on their face and say, hello, we're here together. Can we collaborate? Can we see if we are aligned? There's any synergy we can create. And as well, if you're here looking for a job, promoting a product, please put it on the comment section. If you also have a topic that you're going like, we would love to talk about this, please DM us, any one of the Happiness Tribe members, and then we can discuss it. If you want to come in as a guest, Lisa, I think we need to invite you as a guest. You have a lot of great insights to share, especially AI. And just to mention something, Lisa, you said, which I think I use AI. I'll take your advice and be very, very thorough now researching on where that when I put my prompt. But I see when you use ChatGPT 4, it gives you so you do your research, it will give you the link to where that content is coming from. So you usually click on the link because you go to a specific website and verify. But that's a wake-up call for me that yes, these tools, we need to be careful as we use them. They can make up stories. and then you're submitting or you're talking about things that are not facts. The only thing that I think we've all known that we can't heavily rely on AI with is statistics. Statistics, I think it's not figured out how to come up with numbers. That one I'm very wary. I don't go straight to that. But on research, be it on anything, I just ensure that the tools that have been presented with by AI, I click on them and confirm this could be true. This has been super awesome. I don't know if somebody else would love to help and close the room. I
Ms.
think
Kim?
we've learned a lot.
Can
Yeah.
I, before you close up, can I just make a quick comment on the statistic thing that you're saying? Because it's funny that you say that an issue is that AI has a problem with numbers and statistics. And Principal Lance, if you got a moment, you should raise your hand and speak. Emmanuel as well, please speak up. But what you just said is that numbers have a problem with numbers. Because AI, right? Technology, it's numbers, right? It's mathematical formulas put away in functionality and usability, but it's all based on mathematics, and statistics is mathematics. So you're saying numbers have a problem with numbers. That's what just happened in my mind. Welcome to the stage, Principal Lance. How you doing? And I thought Emmanuel was up here. Oh, someone please let Mr. Peter up.
I think my AI tools are going on retirement now. They're saying it's time up because I'm struggling to get Emmanuel. Can you try? I think one of the other hosts can try to get Emmanuel on top. I'm clicking, it's not allowing me to.
Yeah, I tried as well, but I cannot get him up either. Emmanuel, if you want to take your hand down and try that again, maybe refresh on your hand.
Principal Lance, go for it.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, during this time, usually I am in services, so I always try to catch as much as I can. But I was just super, kind of amped and thrilled and kind of charged up by the conversation, especially from the young people in the group, because as an educator myself, I would say I'm in between. I'm in a unique position to be in between sort of generations. So I've been able to translate some things from the older generation to the younger generation because we're kind of stuck in the middle. So those who are in that unique space, do not shirk your responsibility you have for both sides, as well as your peers as well, because the skepticism and I love how Dr. Ross says the demystifying of the AI system. I'm going to start using that too versus tools, because as he was mentioning to us, if you don't know how to use something, there's usually a system. Even in using tools and taking things apart, there's always a system and a way to do things first, second, third, and there's a process. So I love that. I love what I believe it was Peter who had said that, and just the whole way he explained that. So that's awesome. But also kind of circling back to what was mentioned about the different use cases and the responsibility we have to check on things, like even when it comes down to numbers, that's important. They always say the phrase that numbers don't lie, but people will. And nowadays you have to watch about the numbers lying to you because of how we're getting it. Because let's be honest, like data is nothing but ones and zeros, bits of data, IP addresses, all those. So people actually use numbers to tell falsities all the time. So that's a big thing. And then lastly, I think one big key piece to remember is that you need to use the tools that not only that are best for you, but the ones you're the most successful with, and the ones you have the most practice with. Using it once and then thinking you know how to use it is reckless, and that's something that Dr. Ross has kind of helped me do in a lot. Okay, he'll send me a lot of different tools, and then I'll dive into them, and I try to find the way in, the way out, the things that hold me up, the things that it can't do is more important sometimes than the things that it can do, because it will dial in your use cases in the way that you're operating with it respectfully and responsibly. So, and I just want to share like a quick quote that I heard, and I want us to kind of assign that to some of the things that we're doing with AI. And they said gratitude statistically is actually one of the shortest lived of all emotions. Gratitude is the shortest lived of all emotions. Right now, there's a lot of people that are experiencing it and they get that instant gratification. But as soon as that happens, they kind of turn it off, and they don't realize the long-term effectiveness of gratification. I mean, when you have gratitude about something, like even the happiness tribe is grateful for the opportunity that AI is giving us, and we're not letting it be short-lived. We're not letting it be a matchstick excitement where it just fizzles out and burns down and eventually burns your fingers. We're setting bonfires where but it's a controlled burn, and that's the most important part of it, is that you can use fire to destroy, but you can also use fire to create. And let's remember that fire has a lot of the same, thing. It needs a lot of the same things that we as humans need. It needs air, it needs food, it needs oxygen, those things like that. So with AI, it can be a fire that can consume, or it can be a fire that can create. So let's remember to use it wisely, and to, just like any campfire, as soon as you're done using it, just, put it out, clean it up so that it doesn't burn anything else down in the process. So if that makes sense. Thank you so much for letting me share, Dr. Ross.
Thank you with that, Principal Lanson. Before we get to Emmanuel, can you tell me, as a principal or in your work, or was it your personal life, when did AI become a reality to you? And or just not even just AI, but the fact that you have to be AI literate. That's the point here, is when did it become a reality that I have to become AI literate?
I think that turning point happened, honestly, about 2.5 years ago, when I started realizing the different things it could do. And being ADHD and dyslexic and a couple other things that, of course, statistically should have slowed me down or stopped me from learning things, I was able to harness those particular, shall we say, classifications as superpowers when it came down to the ability to hyper focus on something. Sometimes, that allows me to not let go, like Dr. Ross would say, go down the rabbit hole. People forget that rabbit holes are not just rabbit holes; they're tunnels. Rabbits don't just have one way in and out. They have, and inside their burrows, they have plenty of compartments where they can store food. But the same areas they store food is not also where they live and where they sleep. And then there's a community and a structure in what they do. So just because you see a rabbit hole, it's not just a hole in the ground. It's actually something that will get you to other places quicker and without distraction. So they've designed those tunnels to go to certain places for certain things, whether it be for protection. And we think about cybersecurity. That's important. We need to know that the things we are doing are protected. I mean, Dr. Ross has something called File Baby, which is awesome because it's taking people's intellectual property and their generative ideas and being able to allow that person to have ownership of it, because we live in a world where people will steal anything that's not nailed down, including your intellectual property. So the best way to nail down your intellectual property is to protect it with things like File Baby and also the different cybersecurity tools that are out there to protect the assets that you're accumulating. So like they used to say, I was growing up, get all you can all you get, and sit on the lid. So that's what I think has allowed what they've allowed me to do. And just being able to take all the things that were cluttering my mind up, all these ideas, all these inventions, all these concepts, all these different tools that I am allowed to now research those things in a matter of minutes, hours, and days, where it would have taken me weeks and months and years. So let's just look at the speed aspect of it. As long as you're able, the faster you can consume it, the faster you can contain it, and then the faster you can eventually start to use it as a complement to your own personal and professional lives. So that's kind of in a nutshell where I feel that it happened for me.
Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much, Principal Lance. And wow, so much to say. I think, Miss Kim, I'd like to push this to the next hour if we could, if you have the time. Because I definitely would like some time for Emmanuel here. Very bright young individual. To really get some time and speak of who he is, what he's doing, and the mission he's on. Hello, Emmanuel. How are you?
My name is Emmanuel Peter. I'm a final year student of Obafemiola University. So I'm a student of electronic and electrical engineering. So it's a pleasure coming on board this platform. So apologies for joining late. So I'm just coming from church. So I just have to up on the call. So yeah, AI literacy when reality bites. So what do I do basically? So yeah, I'm in Nigeria and I'm interested in brain-computer interfacing. So this guy who is fascinated by how the brain works and how you are going to use some signals in the brain to make life easier for human beings. Like, yeah, something is popping up in the brain is firing signals, but however, you're unable to get those signals down to your muscles. So I'm really, really worked up about that. But yes, from everything people have been saying, I'd like to make a very, very little contribution, which is my first interaction with AI. So earlier this year, I was on an internship and my supervisor gave me a task, which was so there's this thing we call a motor. So yeah, a brushless direct current motor. So I was actually working on it. So it was faulty and we had to repair that particular motor. So I knew it was a big problem because more than 50 persons had actually troubleshooted it and everybody was saying this idea was crazy. It is impossible to repair that particular motor with the crude tools we had. So yeah, my supervisor gave me the task to at least solve the problem. He said, this thing is possible and I should just get it done with. So before I started working on it, I had to like reach out to a good number of my senior colleagues so that they can give me insight about the problems they face, so that I can know how to channel my own solution. So a lot of them were even telling me the man is like wasting time, it cannot be solved, and all those things. So however, I got introduced to like Claude AI. So, and at the same time ChatGPT as well. So both of them were my buddies at the same time. So I was just trying to brainstorm what could be wrong. Yes, evidently, I wrote code to emulate those signals and to try to troubleshoot things, but they were not actually working. Yes, I had to like dissect the brain of Claude, dissect the brain of ChatGPT, but the results were not still they weren't looking viable for the problem statement I was actually like dealing with. However, I just had to like sit down, relax, look at the signals themselves, and yeah, based on my inferences from the signals I was able to generate, I was able to like solve that particular problem. So when people talk about AI, I see it as not just an entity itself. AI is not just independent, it's actually very much dependent on human intelligence as well. And the limit of your AI is how far you can actually think with that particular AI. Because oftentimes the AI before the AI actually gives you your desired results. So yeah, I felt like I felt like I was actually on the sky after being able to like trash more than a 4-year problem within like 2 months, 2 months of like crazy work, 2 months of like sitting down to understand the signals and being able to like do something novel. So what am I pointing at? What am I arriving at? Because yes, there's a lot of issue out there concerning AI changing the future of work, AI replacing human beings and everything. But what I'll just say is that the limit of AI is actually human intelligence. So your AI is as smart as you are. So it depends on how you prompt your AI, how you're able to like break down the problems for the AI. So the AI is not really that intelligent yet to look at certain problems, look to enter some niches and offer solutions firsthand like that. So it still requires a large chunk of like human understanding. So I'm not able to like keep up with the consistency. I study books on brain computer interfacing. From I try to look at what I study and relate it with the normal human experience, because I don't want to share contents that are too esoteric for an average human understanding. So I sit down with whatever I read, especially for the field of brain computer interfacing. For let me say I read the contents, and yes, it's fascinating. I sit down, I look at what occurs in the society, and how can I draw a parallel between what I've actually read and what is actually playing out in society. So now based on those contents, I actually like put out, like you see people asking questions, you see people coming into the knowledge of what is actually going on. I see minds becoming more educated in that particular field. So yes, I would say I'm a brain computer interface enthusiast. Yes, I deal more into I'm currently self-learning as an undergraduate, and yes, I'm an electronic and electrical engineer in training as well. So yeah, AI is the future, but it is not the future without us. So we just need to keep improving AI. And if AI would be very lethal in the nearest future, that would be because we human beings are actually like bad people. So that's what I just feel like. So if people are using AI in a very wrong manner, it is not because such a tool exists. It is because there are human beings exist who are not being considerate. There are human beings who exist who are being very selfish, and there are human beings exist who are just not bothered about the advancement of humanity at large. Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you so much, Dr. Ras and everyone, for lending me your ears. Yeah, Emmanuel Peter. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Peter. And let me just say it's an honor to have you on here, and we're gonna work very hard so you won't be self-taught. Well, you'll always be self-taught because it's life, right? And those are, you want to be a life learner. But definitely, if you guys want to support Peter's mission, he didn't mention Emmanuel here is on a 100-day mission of his BCI investigation. So studying BCI, and he's on a good journey and actually using the technology to put that information out there and share the journey. And that's how we came across. So I'm looking to a lot of exciting things in the growth of yourself as well as AI in the future and everything that's going on. So, good luck with that. And we will push forward with a number of objectives. And your take on this is important too for the individuals, because you mentioned about AI in the brain. And, that's the space that I'm in as far as neurotrauma, and then understanding graphic neural networks and the AI technology and how you can use large language models, small language models, or neurobots and things to be able to augment and help better the quality of life in a number of ways, not only physically, but also mentally, psychologically, emotionally. So yeah, this is a very, very good space. And thank you so much for coming on. To my other co-hosts, please have a round of things to say. We're going to extend this another 14 minutes to the grace of Miss Kim. Thank you both. Yes, so thank you, audience, and please take it away. Oh, one more thing. Real talk, Randy. You got it as an educator. You got to speak to this. I'm sure at some point reality bit for you, and you know what's going on out here. You have information to share to the audience, so we'd like to have you on here, Mr. Wilkins, if you can. And anyone else in the audience, please. This is a space to let your voice be heard, and we're extending this time just for that. So thank you.
Hi, could I ask a question really quick?
Go for it.
Hi, it just goes back to what Miss Kim was talking about, the numbers and the statistics. If she could clarify what she meant, because I'm able to copy and paste like a graph into ChatGPT and have it do statistics. I'm able to ask AI to look at different countries and pull statistics, let's say on heart disease or something like that. So I wasn't quite clear on what statistics AI wasn't able to do.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, actually, I do, like, let's say my proposal has some calculations. I do my Excel, I do my basic accounting, still using AI. And you can tell AI, like, this business plan, can you make sure this makes sense? Like the variables, your SWOT analysis. If the X